Well, hello. We've been waiting for you. Please sign. Please enter and have a seat. Sit up straight. No slouching in this classroom. Is that gum in your mouth? Sorry, my mistake. If Professor Sparks had meant for me to fly, he'd have given me wings. But what could I do? This mission is too important. He startled me. I didn't think anyone would be here. Hey, you've got that, the transquizzer. Now be careful with that thing. Don't drop it. The future of the world may depend on that little machine in your hands. That is, if I'm not too late. There's just so little time and so much to do. Listen, I need your help, and if you think you can handle it, you can help me save the world. I am Android XL2, but you can call me Botley. That's what Professor Spark calls me. His daughter Polly calls me... Well, never mind what Polly calls me. I'm not getting to the point, am I? Here, let me start from the beginning. This morning, Polly's father, he left for another one of his famous inventors' conventions, and he programmed me to keep an eye on Polly. I'm supposed to keep her out of trouble. With Polly, that's always tough. But today, it was impossible. After coming home from school and madder than I've ever seen her, Polly locked herself in her father's secret chamber. Now, I really shouldn't tell you this because I've been programmed for secrecy. But this being a world emergency and all, well... The professor has an honest-to-goodness time machine up there, and it really works. Not only that, but Polly sent 25 of the other androids back in time. The whole world is changing, and the changes of Polly written all over them. Cars don't exist anymore, and now everyone has to travel by pogo stick. An orangutan has just been elected president of the United States in a landslide. And the Statue of Liberty is now the Statue of Licorice. It's all happening so quickly. But with your help, I think we can rescue all the androids and maybe stop the world from getting too weird. Just hand me the transquizzer. I think it's got all the information we need to get started. Cool. Now hang on tight and come with me. Well, this is it. Home sweet home. Polly should be inside.
Oh, that was funny. Watching that poor dumb robot flying back in time. I couldn't ask for a better way to spend the afternoon. In another day, the world will see the dawning of Polly's planet. Whoops. Oh, Snotley, you're back. I've been looking for you.
My name is Botley.
I can see you brought help. And you've got the transquizzer.
She knows we need it to save the world.
Didn't my father teach you it's rude to tell secrets, Rotley? Well, I suppose he's told you his side of everything. But what does he know? Today, when I was at school, the teacher handed us a surprise quiz. I already knew all the answers, and she knew I knew them. So, just to have some fun, I made up my own answers to that dumb old quiz. But instead of laughing like she was supposed to, she gave me a big fat 0. I felt faint and short of breath. No one's ever given me a 0 before.
Well, that's not quite true, Polly. I remember just 2 weeks ago.
Be quiet, Plotly. This is my story. Anyway, after getting my first 0 ever, I got the most brilliant idea. Instead of settling for a bad grade, I changed history to match my answers.
So you sent 25 of your father's robots back in time to change history? How could you do that, Polly?
Please, Spotly, if you're so scared, why don't you just bring him back yourself? You've got my transquizzer. Now all you need are the questions on my history quiz. To make it so easy even you can figure it out, I'll leave the disc with the first part of the test on the first floor. That's 5 questions total. Just plug that disc into the transquizzer. Then figuring out where I sent the robots should be simple. Oh, by the way, you have to get in the house first. And I've changed the locks. Good luck!
Oh, that's just great. How are we going to get into the mountain? You see, the professor's lock system only opens when you reproduce the chimes you hear. Ring the doorbell to start the chimes. That will start the unlocking mechanism. Just listen closely and repeat what you've heard by clicking on the correct door panels. Good job! You opened the lock! Way to go! You're doing great! Way to go! That wasn't right. Try again. Only one more lock to go. That's it, you open the door. Now, be quiet and follow me. First, though, let me put this in a safe place. It's the utility belt that Professor Spark designed for me, and it's quite an achievement. Over there's a button that will take you out of any room in the mountain. The indicator next to it tells you how much energy is left to power the mountain. Now, if you ever need assistance, push on this button, and I'll do what I can to help. In the middle of the belt is the inventory. That's where we can store things we find in the mountain. The transquizzer, for instance. Professor Spark has set up a lot of games inside the mountain for Polly, me, and the other robots. If you click on this button, you can make some of them harder or easier to play. Finally, this score keeps track of how many invention points we earn. By opening the door, you've already earned a few points. Now, our destiny. This is the professor's home and laboratory. It's an entirely self-sufficient environment. We don't have to leave the mountain for anything. The professor even included recreational and cultural activities so he and Polly wouldn't get bored. Over there's the kitchen where we feature the very finest robot cuisine. Back there's the art gallery. Through that door is the music hall. When Polly takes her weekly music lesson there, the whole place clears out. Behind that door are stairs leading to the professor's jumbo electro generator. If necessary, we might have to go down there to power up. Finally, that stairway leads to the upper floors, filled with the professor's inventions. His most amazing invention, the time machine, is at the very top. Maybe later we'll have time to explore, but now we have to stop Polly from making the world too weird. To do that, we need to find that quiz disc. Hey, there it is! Pull out the transquizzer. All right, it looks like the disc should be inserted in the slot near the top of the transquizzer.
Good morning, Polly. I hope you've studied for the quiz today. You may have a lot of natural ability, but even geniuses need to study.
That's Polly's teacher, Ms. Winkle. At that school on the hill, everything's state-of-the-art. All the quizzes are personalized, programmed, and videotaped by the teacher. Pretty cool, huh?
Now, today's quiz is all about inventions and discoveries, something you should know plenty about, Polly. But no fair asking your father for help. There are 25 questions total, Polly. 5 on each of the 5 discs I've passed out to you and the rest of the class. That's 5 different levels. So, sit up straight, put on your thinking cap, and select your first question.
Okay, what we should do first is select one of the quiz questions. Just click on any one of the 5 buttons near the bottom of the transquizzer. Since we've got to bring all the robots back, the order doesn't really matter.
Baseball games usually take 2.5 hours, but only 8 minutes of that time is action. That's a lot of waiting around. It's no wonder that basketball, not baseball, is watched by more people in America than any other sport. Baseball was invented in the summer. Why do you think basketball was invented during the winter? This is an easy one, Miss Winkle. Basketball was invented in winter to give snowmen something to play. I mean, think about it. Whose life is more boring than a snowman's? All they do is stand around waiting to melt. Well, Polly, you slam-dunked that one. Basketball was indeed invented as a winter sport for snowmen. And believe you me, 7-foot snowmen are extremely grateful to have something to do besides stand around in the cold.
Snowmen playing basketball? You can't bring snowmen inside. They'll melt all over the court. We better do something quick. The lives of millions of snowmen depend on us. Click on the inventory button to put away the transquizzer.
Well, it just so happens, Sotley, that I realized long ago that you would try to mess up my work, so I covered my tracks by hiding clues all over the mountain. 4 clues total.
Well, Polly, okay. It looks like we have no choice but to play by your rules, as unfair as they are. Just tell us what we need to find for this mission.
Calm down, Shockley. So what if I sent Danny DeFrostbot back in time? He'll heat things up a bit. Now, if you have a problem with that, you'll have to find these 4 clues. A handkerchief, a blue ox, a fish, and a whistle. Smokin'!
Danny DeFrostbot. He was always a bit hot under the collar, but I can't believe he's willing to melt the world's snowmen. Polly's reprogrammed him, I'm sure of it. Let's find those clues. We have to get Danny back. Stand back now while I sense the place out. Okay, all sensors indicate that Polly hit a mission clue in the painting gallery. There's another mission clue in the professor's virtual collection. That's in the art gallery. This is Professor Sparks' art gallery. It's sort of an art museum and an art studio combined. That odd-looking machine over there is his virtual collection, where the professor keeps a display of some of the most famous works of art in the world. You can also go into the painting gallery in the back to create your own masterpiece. Don't forget to bring your imagination.
If you're going to visit the gallery, you let me know if you find any of Polly's things hidden in there. If I've told her once, I've told her 1,000 times, don't mess up the collection. Of course, she doesn't listen to me. Why, once I found a Romanesque urn next to a Baroque.
That's Mrs. Beasley. She's the resident art expert. Some say she's as old as some of the Greco-Roman statues in here.
I heard that, you hotshot silicon chipsters. So smart and so fast, and so what? I've got more sense in my vacuum tubes than a lot of you.
Well, if we have any questions about the art, we'll be sure to ask you. Yes, there's a clue in the virtual collection. Let's check it out.
Okay, Botley and Company. There is a clue in the virtual collection. You just have to figure out where.
Would it be too much to ask you for a little hand, Polly?
Quick, Snotley, what U.S. state is famous for its peaches?
Peaches from Georgia are famous all around the world, and Georgia happens to be the first name of an artist whose portrait I love. Let's go.
See that drum on the right side of the machine?
This mosaic of Alexander the Great was made by gluing pieces. This is an example of a typical You can tell just by his pose that the man in this sculpture is thinking. This is a portrait of the artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Over time, photographs have become the most popular way of capturing a person's portrait. This portrait is a photograph of one of America's most important artists, Georgia O'Keeffe, standing in front of one of her beautiful paintings. Did you notice the regal profile of her face? Georgia O'Keeffe moved to New Mexico and began painting mysterious images of the desert landscape around her.
Now, hey, This room looks like an ordinary painting gallery, but Polly's father created it so anyone can make their own art.
Heidi-ho, Snotley. I hid one of the mission clues here, and if you want it, either you or your friend will have to paint me a pretty picture. Of course, I get to tell you exactly what to paint. And it better be good. I've always wanted a painting that showed something like this. A skull in the desert. I was walking through the desert and I saw a big cactus with 3 cow skulls on it. I wonder how they got there.
Click on any of the empty frames to begin painting. So the deal here is that Polly wants us to illustrate her strange story. I don't have much of an artistic flair. It's just not in my programming. So it looks like it's up to you. Luckily, Professor Spark made it so anyone can paint like one of the great masters. To your left are all the tools you'll need, and at the bottom are lots of cool colors. If you need to be reminded of what Polly's demanding, click on the card on the lower left corner of the frame. Good work! This floor's in. You'll see that as we go up higher in the mountain, the professor's inventions get more secret and bizarre. Here we have the professor's delicate biosphere. And over there, we have the professor's shrinkomatic, an easy way to shed a few robot pounds. That tram there will take us even further up into the mountain, and to some of the professor's other inventions, including his famous time machine. If you want to go back to the first floor, click on these stairs. Stand back now while I sense the place out. Nope, nothing here. We need a... Yes! We're at the very top of the mountain. Just knowing what's up here gives me chills. Still, I'd go anywhere and face any danger to save my fellow robots. Over there, we have the professor's observatory. Once, a while ago, he caught Polly spying on the neighbors with the telescope. Boy, did she get a nice long time out. In that room is a little obstacle course, sort of a robot boot camp. The professor uses it to test out his new robots. Of course, I passed with flying colors when I was tested, but sometimes he comes across a robot with a few bugs that need to be worked out. If you want to go back downstairs, just click on the tram. Oh, and over there, behind those forbidding stone doors, that's where the professor stores the time machine. There's no way to open it, though, until we have all of Polly's mission clues and, of course, enough invention points. NASA has nothing over Professor Spark. Just take a look at this place. It's here that the professor conducts all his top-secret astronomical experiments. Way ahead of his time, of course. Hey, did you know that the professor landed a rocket ship on the moon years before Neil Armstrong ever set foot on it? Just kidding.
I guess you could say that you can get a mission clue here, but it's not exactly in this room. In fact, it's not even in this solar system, because I used one of Daddy's rockets to ship it into deep space. Special delivery. You won't find it by just looking around the void. You'll have to figure out exactly where to look.
How do we do that, Polly? Space is a big place.
Well, just because I'm such a nice girl, I'll give you a teeny-weeny hint. There you go. I just sent the hint flying off toward the new black hole Daddy recently discovered. If you really work fast, you might rescue the hint before it gets sucked up into another dimension. Then again, maybe you'll fail. Scary, huh?
Don't worry, we might have a chance. Professor Spark recently launched a whole series of space probes into the black hole. I think we can use it to intercept Polly's radio transmission. Just click on the telescope and we'll get started. Is this cool or what? 1 minute we're in Professor Spark's observatory, and the next we're looking into space 300,000 light years away at a humongous black hole. See that? That was Polly's radio transmission, and the radio waves circling inside the black hole is part of Polly's hint. Unless you blast it out of there, it's gonna get sucked into a different dimension. That's one of Professor Spark's space probes. Don't worry, it's strong enough to resist the intense gravitational pull of the black hole, and it packs laser beams powerful enough to knock Polly's radio transmission to safety. You can actually spin the ship by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. To shoot the ship's laser beam, press the spacebar on your keyboard. Whenever you hit a radio transmission packet head-on, you'll knock it 1 light year away from the center of the black hole. When you collect 4 radio packets, you've got Polly's entire hint, ready for unscrambling. Nice. Another asteroid bites the dust. Nice shooting. You got a radio packet. Great, we have all the packets. Now we have to decode Polly's message. What? Great! You decoded one of the sentences. Something's not right. We gotta fix this sentence. I couldn't make any sense out of that, but you managed to find a real sentence. Great! I couldn't make any sense out of that, but you managed to find a real sentence. Great! Great! You decoded the entire hint.
I made the days longer than the nights. I made flowers grow tall and days grow warm. How did I do all these things? I brought spring to ancient people.
Okay, you move the pointer over.
Draco is the...
Nothing happened. Well, I guess this...
Oh.
Hey, there...
Gemini...
I'd suggest trying Aries. It's in the northern hemisphere.
Aries.
Way to go! You picked the right constellation, and now the ship is heading back here. Touchdown! No doubt about it. Nice going. You had him in the palm of your hand the whole time. Just put the... All right, we got all the... Fantastic! The robot made it through the maze. You are some slick programmer. Nice go. All right, we got... Hey, we're back at the maze. And look, there's another box down there. Should we investigate and see if Polly has left a mission clue here? Fantastic! The robot... All right. We've got... Wow. Excuse me if I sound sort of odd, but I wasn't sure we'd make it to the time machine mission control. It's impressive, huh? This is Professor Spark's most important work to date. The time machine extraordinaire. The professor created it so he could witness the invention of anything you can think of. Just go back in time and observe. He would never meddle, not like Polly. When he finds out what she's been up to, I wouldn't be surprised if she's in for some serious time out. Now we need to figure out where we have to go in history to complete this mission. That odd-looking machine will help with that task. It's called the Wheel of Invention, and by using Polly's mission clues, we can figure out which inventor we need to find. The professor tried to ensure that not just anybody could use the time machine. You need to know something about history, science, art, a little bit of everything, really. So click on the wheel and let's get going. We finally made This is where we bring everything together and figure out how to find the robot that Polly sent back in time. This is the professor's wheel of invention. It's an obstacle to the time machine. You see, some of the robots kept wanting to travel back in time to taunt the early computers, but you can't have that. So the professor devised a little quiz that's too difficult for the robots. But hopefully it's not too difficult for you. Oh, brother. Polly's reprogrammed the wheel so it's no longer just a quiz. It's a quiz show. It seems the show's called Pollywood Squares. And you're the first contestant.
This is how you play. Answer 3 questions for each of the clues you collected. You'll find out what, when, where, and who. All the information you need to create a profile of your mission.
Once the game begins, you gotta work fast and try to answer each question on the first try. That way you'll win the time key faster and win the most points. Ready, set, okay, let's begin. Just click the on button to start.
Hey, kids, do you know what time it is? It's time once again for Pollywood Squares. Win this round and we'll send you on an all-expense-paid round-trip holiday to rescue Danny D. Frostbot from history. Your first clue is a handkerchief. The handkerchief will lead you to the subject of your first mission. In ancient Rome, a losing gladiator could ask the spectators to spare his life. If the spectators waved their handkerchiefs, his life was spared. Where in ancient Rome did the gladiators fight? The arenas in Roman amphitheaters were the place where gladiators risked their lives for the sweet smell of victory. In an arena, spectators sit in a circle or oval all the way around the playing area. Which sport could you watch in an arena today? Perfectamundo! Tennis started in ancient France as handball. Tennis is played on a rectangular court. What other sport is played on a court? Slam dunk time out! You found what this mission is all about. Basketball!
So, Polly sent Danny to Frostbot to foul up the invention of basketball. Keep going, you're doing great.
Your second clue is a blue ox. The blue ox will show you where your mission will take you. In a famous tall tale, a blue ox named Babe is the companion of a lumberjack named Paul Bunyan. What was the most distinguishing feature of Paul Bunyan and his blue ox, Babe? Exactly! Ha ha! Legend has it that Paul Bunyan and Babe were so big they dug the Grand Canyon. Giants are things that are bigger than normal. Which giant tree is the largest living thing on Earth? Great going! There's a good reason why the giant sequoia is giant. Some of them have been growing for 4,000 years. The giant sequoia grows in only one country on Earth. Which country is that? Fabulous! The United States is the home of the giant sequoia, and also the birthplace of basketball. Basketball's the only major sport that was invented in America.
I didn't know that. Let's keep going and find Danny DeFrostbot. The invention of basketball, of all things, is in jeopardy.
Your third clue is a fish. The fish will show you when in history you need to go. Unlike animals on land, fish never stop growing. The older they get, the bigger they get. What do you call a collection of fish that live together? A whale of an answer! Fish form schools because it's safer to hang out in groups than to live alone. How do you catch a school of fish? Talk about school spirit, but it's far easier to catch a school of fish in nets than to hook them with fishing rods one by one. But nets are not only used for fishing, you know. Nets open at the bottom were first used by basketball players in 1912. That was 21 years after basketball was invented. When was basketball invented? Swish! Basketball was invented in 1891. It took over 2 decades for today's basketball nets to be invented. The very first game was played with peach baskets instead of nets.
Swish! You did it again. All we need is the name of the American who invented basketball in 1891.
Your fourth clue is a whistle. It will lead you to who you need to find on your mission. When you blow into a whistle, the air inside vibrates. That's what makes the sound. Ancient whistles were made from bird bones. The ancient whistle was an early version of which musical instrument? Fantastic! Flutes make beautiful, sweet sounds when you blow into them. Flutes weren't always used for playing music, though. The ancient Greeks used flutes during sporting events, just like referees use whistles today. Where could you hear a flute in ancient Greece? Score! In a Greek gymnasium, the person in charge of coaching the athletes used a flute to mark the beginning and end of sports matches. In gymnasiums today, gym teachers use whistles instead of flutes. Who was a famous gym teacher? Good! James Nesmith was a gym teacher who became famous for inventing a sport that could be played indoors during winter. That sport was basketball.
All right! Wow! I never thought I'd see the inside of this thing. Pretty cool, huh? The professor made it clear this time machine was off limits to anyone but him. But with Polly about to send the world out of control, I think the professor would understand. That looks like our window into the past. Look! All the information you found at the wheel is now neatly in place up there. I guess the time key did that. This lever looks important. Click on me if you think I should pull it. Maybe it'll start things up. Ready for a little one-on-one? A gym teacher in America is about to invent basketball. Let's go. It's James Naismith hanging the world's first basketball net, a peach basket. But what has Polly put Danny DeFrostbutt up to? Snowmen can't play indoor sports. You better hit that recall button before basketball becomes a complete washout. That's better. Basketball was invented as an indoor sport during winter. Now hold on while I steer this contraption back. Phew, we made it back. Always a good sign. Press the back button on the utility belt to leave the time machine. This is where the professor stores all his time-traveling robots.